Some stories are told during the day. The ones you'll never forget are told after midnight. Welcome to Tales After Midnight. I was 10 years old when my mom found God. Or maybe when God found her. It started with a small Pentecostal church tucked off a back road in rural Alabama. The kind of church you don't see unless you're looking for it. A gravel parking lot. A wooden cross that leaned just slightly to the left like it was tired of standing. We were a single-mom family. 4 kids. My older sister was 12 and ready to believe everything. My little brother was 8 and followed me everywhere. My baby sister was 2 and mostly just cried when the singing got loud. And the singing was always loud. The church was small. Maybe 30 people on a good Sunday. Everyone knew everyone. That's where I met George. George lived in the old house right next to the church's baptism pool. The pool wasn't fancy. It was built behind the church in a fenced-in patch of red Alabama dirt. George's house sat close enough that if you stood at the water's edge, you could see into his back porch through the screen door. When I turned 11, I decided to get baptized. Or rather, my mom decided I should get baptized. I didn't fully understand what it meant, but when you're raised in a room full of people speaking in tongues and crying at the altar, you learn early that you don't question things. You step forward when they tell you to. The day of my baptism was hot. The kind of Alabama heat that makes the air feel thick in your lungs. I remember running behind George's house before the ceremony started, just burning off nervous energy. I was barefoot, which is normal when you grow up out there. And then I felt it. A sharp, electric stab in my arm. I looked down and saw it, sitting in a hedge bush I'd ran into too. A snake. I remember screaming. I remember the adults rushing. I remember someone saying it didn't look like a venomous one, that I'd probably be fine. I remember the preacher asking if I still wanted to go through with the baptism. I did. Looking back, I don't know why. Maybe pride. Maybe fear of looking weak. Maybe I thought if I got in that water, whatever had bitten me wouldn't matter anymore. So I limped into that pool beside George's house, arm throbbing, and the preacher held my nose and pushed me under. When I came back up, everyone clapped. And George was standing at his back window watching. A few years passed. George didn't change much. Still thin. Still quiet. Still watching. One afternoon, my little brother and I were at Margaret's house. Margaret was one of the sweetest women in the church. White hair, soft voice, always smelled like biscuits and laundry detergent. Her kitchen was the kind with floral wallpaper and a table that had seen 40 years of elbows and prayer. We were eating lunch, bologna sandwiches and chips, when the phone rang. Margaret answered, and I watched her face change. Her hand covered her mouth. Her chair scraped the floor as she stood up. George had taken his own life. I didn't understand it fully then. I just knew it felt heavy. Like something in the room shifted. The man who lived beside the baptism pool. The man who watched from the window. Gone. The church talked about it for weeks. Prayers. Confusion. Whispers about demons and darkness and spiritual warfare. That's when things started feeling different. The camping trip was supposed to bring everyone closer together. We rented 2 cabins out in the woods. One for the boys, one for the girls. It wasn't some big state park, just trees, dirt paths, and silence that got louder at night. By then, I was old enough to feel tension when adults thought we couldn't. Margaret pulled the preacher aside on the second day. I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I heard enough. Her granddaughter, Haley, had been acting strange. Writing red X's on people's bedroom doors back home. Talking to herself. Laughing when no one else was. That night, the adults gathered in the boys' cabin living room. They sent me and all the other kids into one of the bedrooms. They stood in a circle around Haley. And they performed what they called an exorcism. I remember her screaming. Not crying. Screaming. I remember the preacher shouting scripture. I remember some of the older kids in the room crying and praying. I remember Margaret sobbing. And I remember being frozen. It was happening in the same room I was going to sleep in. The last full night of the trip. That night, it was just 3 of us in the boys' cabin. Me. The preacher. And his son, younger than me, probably 8. I was sleeping on one of those pull-out couch beds in the living room. The same room where Haley had been pinned down hours earlier while adults shouted about demons. The lights were off. The woods were silent. I fell asleep eventually. And then I woke up. No reason. Just awake. The first thing I felt was wrongness. That feeling you get when your brain wakes up before your body does. When your instincts tell you something isn't right. I didn't move at first. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. On the cabin floor. Not coming from the hallway. Not from outside. From inside the room. My heart started pounding so hard I thought whoever, or whatever, was there could hear it. The steps got closer. Then I felt it. The mattress dipped. Right beside me. Like someone had just sat down. Or laid down. The weight was real. I felt the springs shift under my back. I felt the air move. I could hear breathing, faint, but there. I grabbed my blanket with both hands and pulled it tight around my face. I didn't pray. I didn't scream. I froze. Then the blanket was ripped off me. Not tugged. Ripped. Like someone yanked it with force. Cold air hit my skin. I shot up so fast I don't remember my feet touching the ground. I ran straight into the preacher's bedroom and slammed the door open. He woke up confused, but when he saw my face, he didn't ask many questions. I crawled into the bed beside him. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But I was a kid. And something had just been in that room with me. The rest of the night passed without another sound. In the morning, the cabin looked normal. Blanket on the floor. No footprints. No explanation. The preacher's son swore he never left his room. And I believed him. A few months later, my mom stopped going to church. No big dramatic exit. Just, stopped. And when she stopped, we stopped. No more singing. No more shouting. No more George's house beside the baptism pool. No more Margaret's kitchen. No more Haley. But I never stopped thinking about that night. About the mattress dipping. About the breathing. About the blanket being ripped away. Was it a nightmare? Sleep paralysis? My mind replaying the exorcism hours later? Maybe. But I remember the weight. I remember the cold. And sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night even now, I still wait a few seconds before I move. Just to make sure the mattress doesn't dip beside me again. And sometimes, in the dark, I still feel like something is watching. Just like George used to. From a window I can't see. The night is quiet again. But some stories never truly end. If you thought this tale was chilling, there's more waiting for you after midnight. Don't forget to subscribe. And turn on the notifications, so you won't miss the next story that will haunt your dreams. Until next time, keep the lights on.